Hi, I'm Jessica Barkdale, nurse practitioner at PPG Cardiology. Today we're going to talk about taking blood pressure at home. One reason it's important to take your blood pressure at home is because at office visits, sometimes you're nervous and your blood pressure can be higher than it would be at home. This happens to about 30% of people, so doing home screenings is important so we know what your true blood pressure is. When you check your blood pressure at home, there are some tips that I'd like to share with you that are really important to getting an accurate blood pressure. First, feet flat on the floor with the back supported. You want your arm at heart level and you want to be using a bare arm. If you have clothing on your arm, it can add 10 to 40 millimeters of mercury to your blood pressure. Next, you want to rest quietly. Typically, you want to rest about 5 minutes before taking your blood pressure. No talking or any other activity during that time. Then you want to possibly check your blood pressure several times depending on the readings that you get. If you tend to get variable readings, it's a good idea to average 2 or 3 readings together. If your blood pressure is pretty spot on most often, then you can just check one reading and then record that. Often people aren't aware of things that can raise the blood pressure, including a full bladder. That can add 10 millimeters of mercury to your blood pressure, so you'll want to make sure you have an empty bladder as well. So next, I'm going to show you how to properly take your blood pressure at home. First, you want to grab your cuff and place it on your arm. And typically you're going to have an arrow on your blood pressure cuff that shows you where you want to line that up at in the middle of the arm here. You want to try and secure it just above the bend of the elbow for comfort, and arm at heart level. Again, your back supported, feet flat on the floor. When I do start my blood pressure monitor, the cuff will inflate and it may feel a little tight or like a little hug to your arm. And then that will take approximately 30 seconds, release, and you will have your blood pressure reading. After getting the reading, record that reading along with the pulse. The systolic blood pressure is the top number and it indicates what the pressure is in the artery as the heart squeezes. The diastolic blood pressure is the bottom number and it indicates what the pressure is when the heart is relaxed. I often am asked how often someone should take their blood pressure at home, and that varies depending upon the person's situation. If your blood pressure's been controlled and stable for quite some time, I usually recommend once or twice a month, just to ensure that blood pressure isn't rising over time. If you are undergoing medication changes, however, then checking your blood pressure a few times a week or even daily is important. Typically, I recommend checking the blood pressure in the morning after you go to the restroom before you eat or drink anything. I also recommend taking it in the evening as you're winding down. Those are going to be the times of day that are most accurate. So I'm often asked what blood pressure numbers should be a concern, and that varies depending upon the person. If you are taking your blood pressure at home and you're not taking blood pressure medication and you consistently see readings over 120/80, it's time to talk to your healthcare provider. Sometimes no intervention is required other than lifestyle modification. Other times, blood pressure needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. If you're taking blood pressure medication, talk to your healthcare provider about your personal goals. If you see a blood pressure that's consistently above your personal goal, contact your healthcare provider's office to discuss next steps.